I love where this conversation's going. You know, I always akin it to magic, Lonzo, but how would you explain to someone the process of writing a song and creating a song that ends up just being a hit, from the beginning of when you hear the beat in your own head, like you just talked about earlier? How do you explain that to someone who, because a lot of people are amazed when they see someone freestyle, for instance, or how did you do that beat? Oh my God. Like, how do you explain to someone who's not a creative how all that comes about?
You can't. You can't. It's hard to. It's hard to because
That's why I say magic, dog. That's the only word that I can think of.
when you trying to explain something to somebody that's not a creative, and most people in the record industry, especially ones that's making the deals, are not creatives. They're either lawyers or executives, and they're looking for somebody to give you what somebody else already got, only on their label and with a little twist to it, so they won't get sued or catch any real flack for biting off of somebody. Um, so it's real difficult to explain to somebody how a song like "Turn Off the Lights." I knew it was going to be a hit because I felt it. I already had a hit with Lovers. I just needed something a little bit more up to date and a little tighter. The production on "Turn Off the Lights" was a lot tighter than it was on Lovers. Plus, we had more of a more of a universal um, appeal song. Being lovers and friends is one thing, but for a woman, if I'm a hell of a woman, I wrote that song for women. It was an empowerment song for women. And when you start empowering women, oh, dude, that's a skill. You have to understand that is a skill and a talent. As you start to do different things in life, you start realizing certain people have, or certain groups have certain dog whistles that you can um, work with. Okay, women like to be empowered. That's why Mary J. Blige is the person she is. That's why Beyonce is who she is. That is a marketing talent that somebody grabbed. I'll say, oh, we're going to take this. We're going to make these women the poster women. Mary J. Blige, I call her the poster child for broken-hearted women. Okay, she's the queen of broken-hearted women. She is a, a whine and cry type of artist. She crying and whining. Somebody broke her heart, and there's a bunch of broken-hearted women. And Mary J. Blige is a songstress. Okay, Beyonce is empowerment. All the single ladies. That's her thing. So when you're dealing with different talents and different skills, it's a combination of both. And sometimes you have both of them come together, and the skill enhances the talent. You got to have the skill to make the talent work, and you got to have the talent to make the skill be better. You follow me? Both of them work hand in hand. One person is a mechanic, the other person is a visionary. That's what I'm trying to say. Once you get involved with a visionary, then if a visionary get the right mechanics around them, they can make magic. The visionary might not be the mechanic. Perfect example: Michael Jackson and Prince. Michael had great mechanics, highly skilled, talented too, but he didn't have the same mechanics that Prince had. Prince was skilled in the studio, and he was able to apply his talent to his skills and make him a strong ass artist. Well, Mike could sing, he could dance, but he had to have a production team to make his visions come true. Prince didn't need a production team to have it make his visions come true. He can go in the studio by himself with a bunch of instruments and come out with a couple of hours with a song. Mike couldn't do that. Mike had to have a team. Mike had a vision, but he had to have some skilled musicians and some talented musicians to make his visions come true. Just a basic difference. People always argue who was the better artist, Michael or Prince. Prince did everything Mike did. Prince did everything that Mike did, and what Quincy Jones did, and he did it for other people. Mike didn't do that for nobody. Mike was good for Mike. He never had no spinoff artists per se. I mean, Usher was on his label, but Mike, he never wrote for nobody. People wrote for Mike. Prince wrote for everybody, and Prince, and The Time, and Vanity Six, and Sheila E, and Sheena Easton. So he had a whole lot of talent to disperse around people. Mike was, when he left Quincy, he didn't do $40 million no more. Prince never did 40 million on one album, but he did a bunch of 5s and 10s. He did a whole bunch of 5s and 10s. Mike had one, did what, 45, 50 million? That's cool, but Prince did a whole bunch of them. They did a lot of millions too. And not only for him, for other people. So his game was a little bit different. No disrespect to either one of them. Trust me. But, you know, and that's what it goes. That's what happens when you rocking with a situation like with going back to Rufus for a minute. Eazy had a good run, but it was nowhere near as powerful as it was when him, Dre, and Cube was together. BG Knockout, they did a great job, but it still wasn't the same. It didn't have that same, you know, the same nuts. You know, meanwhile, Dre took his talent over to Death Row and created a powerhouse with Tupac, Snoop Dogg. Come on, in his own shit. So, you know, that right there was a hell of a situation within itself. Rufus fell off after Dre left, except for Bone Thugs. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and that was in response to Uncle G's question, I'm assuming. Do you think Eazy could have replaced Dre and Cube to keep N.W.A. going? Some would say he tried with BG Knockout and Dre Stud. They were good, but it just, like you said, didn't have that same oomph to it, right?
You had to have, first of all, you ain't, and Cube don't have a whole lot of people you compare him to. That Cube. Ain't nobody you can compare to Dre. Yes, the bad boys out there, but he got a different sound than everybody. His sound became the sound of West Coast hip hop. A lot of bad boys out there. Jermaine Dupri, bad boy. Missy Elliott, bad girl. But they didn't have that same. It was a little bit different ingredients that made his thing stand out more. I mean, you got Snoop, Tupac, and the Chronic on the same label, plus the soundtrack from Above the Rim. Come on, man. It's a whole lot of shit right there. That shit was banging. That shit still bang today. Okay. It still bangs today.
That Above the Rim soundtrack stays in constant rotation to this day, dude.
Come on.
I know a place where we can go outside and have some fun. I mean, dude, that whole album is crazy.
Yeah. So, dude, that's the difference, man. That's the difference.
Yeah. So, Stim Radio says, I actually saw something recently that Michael Jackson